Let's begin with our top focus on Ethiopia, as the country now on Friday announced a $260,000 reward for information on the whereabouts of Tigray People's Liberation Front leaders who fled the regional capital 3 weeks ago. The announcement was first made on a state-run broadcaster and was then reconfirmed through a tweet by a government task force. Ethiopia has launched a manhunt for TPLF leaders since its claiming of victory over Tigray's capital Mekelle last month. Reports suggest that the Tigrayan leaders are probably hiding in surrounding mountains since Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's claim of victory over the region. Tigrayan forces have constantly denied Abiy Ahmed's claim of victory over Tigray's Mekelle and said the war is still not over and that they will combat the federal troops. It has become complicated to verify the claims of the warring sides given the lack of transparency, as most communication and transport links remain severed. Access to media is still restricted in many parts of the region. Aid agencies are warned of a severe humanitarian crisis in Tigray. The UN World Food Programme sent 11 trucks worth of food to 2 Eritrean refugee camps in the southern part of Tigray on Wednesday. The UN estimates that up to 200,000 people could arrive in Sudan in the next six months, further straining Sudan's economy and worsening the refugee crisis. Thousands of people are believed to have been killed in the fighting. Over 50,000 people have already fled to neighboring Sudan to escape the crossfire violence. Some of the refugees at Sudan's Rakuba camp spoke of their previous lives as volunteer soldiers in the Tigray army and the losses they suffered in the ongoing conflict.
أنا كنت اسمه أجدة تنشا أصحابي النص جاي من السودان والنصهم في المحل قاعدين أين محل مال يعني ما خشينا حمرة ما خشينا.
The ongoing unrest is the result of a deep-rooted conflict between the federal government and the Tigray forces in the region. The TPLF leaders have called out on Abiy Ahmed for marginalizing Tigray since coming into power 2 years ago. For more details, let's quickly get in a sense of perspective from our guest, Samuel Getachew, who's joining us live from Addis Ababa. He's a journalist. Thank you, Samuel, for joining our broadcast today. Now, the TPLF leaders, believed to be hiding in the mountains since the capital of the region was captured by federal forces in November, have now said that they are fighting back. Is the crisis only getting more severe? And does that also negate Abiy Ahmed's claim of victory over the region?
Well, it seems the conflict is ongoing. The government has been looking for the leadership. They did capture a few of them, but part of the money that was offered, about $260,000 as you said, is to go to anyone who's willing to help them. But the offer is as vague as it gets. If one is interested in pursuing these financial opportunities, for instance, we don't know if it means all the leadership has to be captured, or is it just a few of them, and would that person get a portion of the money? So it's as vague as it gets, and the government hasn't said much, except they're willing to offer some kind of financial support to anyone who's willing to help them. And this goes to show you that they're having some challenge in terms of capturing the leadership they've been looking for from day one.
So clearly that does throw light on the fact that victory is not clearly defined as yet. Having said that, people right. Please go ahead.
Well, it depends on how you define victory. I recall George Bush going to Baghdad and with a big sign saying mission accomplished. If that's your version of victory, well, the Ethiopian side has won. But this conflict is they're fighting with a TPLF that's known going into mountains, and they've defeated a former government in Ethiopia, fighting for so many years, and they're expert on guerrilla fights. So it's going to be difficult. You can declare many victories, but at the end of the day, it's going to be more challenging than assumed.
It certainly has been challenging. And so, Samuel, people, of course, have now been living for more than 6 weeks, with no running water, no access to health services, no cash, and very limited access to food. How challenging has been this humanitarian crisis for the UN and even other aid agencies?
In addition, banking services were suspended for many, many days. So it's been a catch-22. The UN has really been looking to find a way to support them. For many people who doubted how effective the UN can be in this kind of crisis, showing us in the open that they can really help. Perhaps offering band-aid solutions for temporary solutions. But many parts of the Tigray region is still not accessible to the UN. They can only access parts of the Tigray region that's controlled by the government. And even trying to reach some of the refugee camps has been very difficult. As you recall, a week ago, there was some kind of shooting as they approached the refugee camp that the government did not want to have them approach. So it's been a catch-22 trying to help. And also resources has been running out. The UN has been appealing to the donors to help them. So it's been a catch-22 for anyone who's trying to help.
Right. Even the media has been scrambling for access. Having said that, Samuel, the UN estimates that up to 200,000 people could arrive in Sudan in the next 6 months, further straining Sudan's economy. Hasn't Sudan borne the brunt of this refugee crisis?
The Sudan Prime Minister was just in town a few days ago, last weekend, speaking to the Prime Minister and saying exactly the same thing. They can't afford to help this many people when the Sudanese economy is, even in a good day, is in a bad crisis. So they've been appealing to the Ethiopian government, trying to come up with some kind of support, some kind of ceasefire. So to try to have less people go to the Sudan, and something that the UN can manage to help them in a refugee camp. So the Sudanese side has been appealing from many days especially coming to Addis Ababa to appeal straight to the Prime Minister, saying exactly the same thing. It's been a crisis, a humanitarian crisis, even for the Ethiopian side to be able to help them.
Right. Samuel, Ethiopia is host to the African Union headquarters, is a diplomatic heavyweight in a very volatile region, and its troops are also valued for their service in peacekeeping missions in Somalia and South Sudan. What does the crisis mean how does it translate on the entire international stage?
The UN,
All right. We seem to have just lost connect with Samuel. As much as we'd like to have continued that conversation, let's leave this news story with all the details that have been shared so far by Samuel. Moving over to other international stories. Now,